For the next 7 days, I'll be attempting to follow Conor McGregor's exact daily routine to see if it can improve my life. That means training like him, eating like him, dressing like him. And at the end, I'll be challenging a random stranger to a street fight to see how much I've learned. Okay, no, not really, but I will be graded on how well I stick to it, and there's a level of punishment depending on how I do. If you've been living under a rock, Conor McGregor is a former UFC champion who's the biggest star in MMA history.
Conor McGregor, ladies and gentlemen!
Some would say he's controversial, but in my opinion, there's a ton to learn from him, whether you like UFC or not. At his best, he's a man of hard work, laser focus, inspiration, and has one of the greatest mindsets of all time. But we can't just stop there because that'd be too easy. So along the way, I set up a few mini challenges to focus in on key aspects of Conor's philosophy. Then I'll also break down the best and worst aspects of his routine so you guys can take those away too. So grab some Irish whiskey, buckle up, and see how much I can improve in just 1 week. Conor wakes up between 7 and 9 a.m., though it varies a lot based on upcoming fights. He immediately drinks a cold glass of water, then goes into stretching. Next up is breakfast. He eats super healthy, so a typical breakfast might be eggs, mushrooms, sweet potatoes, fruit, with spinach or kale on the side. Then we're heading to the gym. Conor trains twice a day. One session is strength and conditioning, one is MMA skills focused.
So one of the things that I'm really excited about for Conor's routine is the emphasis that he places on flexibility and mobility. I work out a decent amount, but I don't do a ton of that stuff, so I feel like I'm missing out on all the benefits that it has to offer.
By the way, I took a ton of fitness measurements before this week started, so one of my goals is to improve upon those. Honestly, it felt a little bit like middle school gym class, although I did not do the pacer. My Conor workout for this morning is broken down into 4 parts: flexibility, stretching, functional mobility, and a circuit workout.
I'm not even done with the mobility exercises, and this is tough.
Today's mini challenge is visualization.
If you have a clear picture in your head of something is gonna happen, a clear belief in that it will happen no matter what, then nothing can stop it. You know what I mean? It is destined to happen, and that's what happens.
And to be honest, I've always been a little skeptical of visualization. It just seems too woo-woo to me. But one of the cool things about these challenges that I do is that they force you to try things you otherwise wouldn't. If it's good enough for Conor, it's good enough for me. And now that I have to try it, I'm actually really excited. So Conor's visualization tactic has 2 parts. The first is visualizing yourself having already achieved the thing you want. Picture what it looks like, feels like, smells like. Second is visualizing the process you'll go through to achieve that goal. So this could be the sequences that you need to train in the gym, it could be the calls you need to make, the meetings you need to schedule. And as it just so happens, at my MMA gym tonight, we're having the rank up test in my Muay Thai class. I really want to get to the next level, which is orange. I failed last time. And so all of today, I've been visualizing myself passing the rank test and getting to orange. We'll see how that goes. I'll tell you how I do later on in the video. After the morning workout, we've got lunch. Again, Conor eats super healthy. So for lunch, I've got a salad with some cottage cheese and some ground turkey. And then I've got a little green smoothie, which I made myself because I'm not sponsored by Athletic Greens yet. Now that we're done with lunch, it is time for today's challenge, which is upgrading my style. Because honestly, it's not looking great. Also, comment what you think of these socks because my girlfriend and brother keep making fun of me for them. I usually try to avoid looking too flashy, but I will say you think of yourself differently when you dress super nice. It's almost like I'm taking myself more seriously. So now we've got a little bit of free time. Conor doesn't say exactly what he does here, but I'm gonna fill the time with things I know he does at some point, namely studying tape of his opponents and studying technique. Next up is skill training. Today we're doing a heavy bag workout. After the workout in the evening, Conor will make a protein shake, and then he typically handles his business affairs. So in his case, this is things like interviews and media appearances. I also do a lot of interviews and media appearances and stuff like that because, people love to talk to me. Okay, no, in my case, I'll be handling emails and working on my business. This is the time to be productive get stuff done.
After that, if there's time, he'll wind down by reading a book or watching a movie. I am currently reading The Secret, which is a book that Conor strongly recommends. I think it's the one that essentially got him into this whole visualization thing. I'm not super far in, so I don't know if I can recommend it yet, but I'll let you know later. And the last part of his routine every day is a pre-bed ritual, where he will reflect on the day, so talk about what he learned, what he did well, what he didn't do well, things like that. And then he'll set his intention for the next day. So how does he want it to go? What does he hope to accomplish? What does he hope to improve upon from yesterday? And then he'll go to bed. Conor is a huge believer in sleep, and even though he's obviously a super busy guy, he tries to always sleep between 7 and 9 hours.
As promised, let's jump back to that rank up test.
Oh my gosh, guys, so I just got out of Muay Thai class, and I ranked up. I got to orange. It's crazy because this whole day I've been visualizing them calling my name at the end, saying, Ben, you ranked up, and now it happened. My hands are still shaking from the class, but that looks like a win for visualization to me.
Today's challenge is building the habit of confidence. And in order to do that, for the next 24 hours, I have to walk around like Conor McGregor. No, I'm just kidding. But one of the most important lessons that I've learned from Conor here is that confidence is a choice. It's a habit that you can build. Obviously, training still matters a ton. I'm not ignoring that, but a lot of it is up to you. I'll show a clip that I love because he says it perfectly.
At the end of the day, you've got to feel some way. So why not feel unbeatable? Why not feel untouchable? Why not feel like the best to ever do it?
And so as part of all of this, I've been visualizing and telling people that this video is going to get 110,000 views in the first 30 days, which it will. But in order to make that happen, I need some help. So I'm asking that you would like this video and watch it all the way through to the very end. That really helps more than you know. And already I'm seeing this in action, where this whole week I've had crazy amounts of motivation to work on this video because I know it's gonna do so well.
So it's day 5. I am feeling really tired this morning, but we gotta get after it.
One of the biggest lessons that I've taken away so far from the way Conor trains is the importance of doing exercises that you don't normally do. For example, he tends to train movements that are very fast and explosive, whereas I typically train a lot slower movements, which are good for hypertrophy, but aren't good for speed and power. Or he'll train these weird animal walking movements, and I've never done anything like that. I just do basic stretching. So the thing I'm gonna take away from here is mix up the way I train every once in a while to make sure I'm hitting all these different muscle groups in different areas of movement.
So it's now day 6, and I decided to take a rest day today because I'm feeling pretty worn out, and Conor does take one day off each week to rest. But also I can't stop shadowboxing, and I think I'm starting to scare people.
So it's now day 7, and things are going well, although I am very worn out. Obviously, part of that is my body just isn't used to this level of training. But when it comes to sticking to a schedule, Conor also talks about the importance of loving what you do.
I don't work. I love what I do. And that's why I'm doing what I love. You know what I mean? That's why it's become a career for me, because I love it.
I don't work, I live. You know what I mean? I don't have a job, I just have a life.
All right, it's day 8. You know what that means. Time for the breakdown.
We'll start with favorites and least favorites. So right off the bat, some of my favorites. Visualization, for sure. This was something I had low expectations for going in and hadn't done before, but was super helpful and really surprised me with how much I liked it. I felt like it made things way more exciting to visualize the great outcomes that could come from them, and visualizing the process I had to go through to get there made it a lot more likely that I would actually do that process. And related to that, I felt like I was a lot more confident during this week. I already talked about that a little bit, but I think I really took that from Conor. The other thing that I really like about his schedule that I didn't talk much about in the video is he's very flexible. If he doesn't want to do something at a given time, he'll just push it back a little bit. Or if he wants to go earlier to the gym, he'll go earlier to the gym. And compared to other people's routines that I've tried, this is really nice. Third favorite is all of the mobility and stretching exercises. Especially on the last day at Muay Thai, I felt like my kicks were super fluid, which they're usually not because my leg flexibility is horrible. And so I could tell that this was definitely working. Least favorites, The 2-a-day workouts were a little bit much for me, though to be honest, that's because my body just wasn't used to it. I think if I had gradually increased to that, it would be fine. His sleep schedule I also didn't love. He's a little bit more of a night owl, and I tend to be an early riser, so that didn't quite match. But again, like I said, he's flexible, so it wasn't too bad. Other thing I didn't really like was The Secret, the book about the law of attraction. I definitely think there's something to that idea, meaning choosing what you focus on is really important. But the way the book wrote it was still just a little bit too woo-woo. And like at one point they're talking about how people involved in some tragedies in the 20th century were there in part because they let negative thoughts enter their mind and stuff like that. It was just kind of, I don't know, I just didn't really agree with what they were saying. But again, the idea behind it, I think there's something there. Then let's jump into fitness scores. So one of the cool things is that I improved across every single exercise. And I can't say that Conor's routine caused all of this. Maybe I was just trying a little harder. But I think especially the last three, handstands, sit and reach, and the 1 mile run, were due to their routine because I was doing a bunch of stretching and a bunch of cardio throughout it. And so it was cool to me to see that I improved there. And then the part you've all been waiting for, my final grade. I have to go B-. Saying B- because there were a few days when I missed the intention and reflection, and I felt like I could have pushed myself a little bit harder on some of the workouts. But overall, I did a good job following it. I ate healthy, I worked out, I stretched, and I really do feel like I learned a lot through this, and I'm gonna take all of those lessons and apply them in my life going forwards.